education must take into account hunting cultures, gathering cultures.
We have like an all year round type of subsistence lifestyle. And for most of us, that is the way to provide food for our family. When you're telling a child that their education is the most important thing, you have to remember that that education that they're learning of their own land and their own environment is the most important thing.
I definitely would drop everything I'm doing and engage in a subsistence activity. If a parent came into the school and said, I need help checking a net, I would shut the textbook and say, let's get up and go do that.
What's the mathematics like of catching a whale? How do you benefit nutritionally from the whale? These are things that meet all the requirements of a Western culture. You got math, science, observation, and the necessary skills to survive.
You've got to be open. This is a beautiful place, a beautiful state, and you'll learn something new every day if you let yourself. Hey, I'm from a big city. That doesn't mean I know jack squat in the tundra. You don't know anything here. They know their life here. And so if you're not here willing to learn from them as much as to teach them, then you're going to have a problem. But I love learning from the people around me, and that's the reason why I came.
You come up here understanding that things are going to be different because it's a different culture. We don't get to define what's normal.
Everything that you think is like normal is really also like your own culture.
Up here, you're the culturally diverse person. You're different. You got to not be afraid to ask questions.
You're not going to know everything when you come up here.
Sit and listen and not talk. Wow, that's a difficult thing for me to do.
It's okay to make mistakes.
You know, I've made some mistakes with parents and community members, not intentionally, but you know, have to own up to it as hard as it is. Walk up to them and uncomfortable and as awkward as it will be, and just say, hey, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean it to. This is where I was coming from, and I did not mean for it to go that way. You do have to be vulnerable with the community. I mean, if you're living there. Otherwise, you're going to be miserable if you're trying to be perfect, and it's not ever going to be perfect.
One thing that I think is really signature about our communities is that like who you are matters as a person. We are high context communities where we, have a lot of shared background, where it's like I meet somebody, even if they're a different cultural group, but the fact that they're Alaska Native, I already have so much background information in terms of what their life has looked like, their ancestry, their history, like their experience, because we have so much shared context. But if somebody comes from like Pennsylvania, somebody comes from Colorado, outside of this shared context, you can't see them at all. So being able to be in a place to really open yourself up and connect with who you are as a person with other community members, I think is really essential.
You need to be able to create a life for yourself here. You need to engage in activities outside of school. You can get stuck in this triangle of just going from school to the post office back to your apartment. And that can be a pretty depressing place to be.
That doesn't do the community well. It separates people.
Teachers who get involved in the community and involved in cultural events and community events stay. Teachers who don't leave. It's really clear. It's how teachers fall in love with the communities, is like working on animals and
really embracing the culture and getting to know families and being involved in the community.
If you take part in something, people are going to recognize the gifts that you could bring to their community in a positive way.
You need the mindset of getting into an entirely different culture that you probably aren't familiar with, and embracing the diversity and just really getting into that and not being an outsider when you're in this tight-knit community. Involving the community, I think, would be really beneficial to both the students and the teachers and the community, seeing that oh, this new teacher wants to involve the community. They want to involve our culture and our traditions and everything.
Even though you're not indigenous to our people, you can advocate for culture and traditions, language, and those things to be taught within your classroom settings.